Hello, everybody. I have to do one thing I've always wanted to do. Hi, Mom and Dad.
That's my boy.
The high desert wind was constant. It arrived after blowing across the Mojave, up Hockney's Pear Blossom Highway, and into the Santa Clarita Valley, where it would gust against the classrooms at Our Lady of Perpetual Help. This persistent wind would make school uniforms billow, blow off the nuns' veils, and play with sports equipment. The monkey bars would chime all day long at Patrick Carpenter's grade school. These winds carried the sounds of Steely Dan, Fleetwood Mac, Linda Ronstadt, Jerry Brown, Anita Bryant, President Carter, and the vrooming roar of Eric Estrada's motorcycle. Occasionally, the theme song of the Waltons could be heard. For years, beginning at around age 9, Patrick always asked for a plaid robe for Christmas. For some reason, his parents, who showered Patrick and his brothers with more expensive and harder to find gifts, never gave him one. He thought it a perfectly normal request. The Beaver and Wally wore robes, as did Greg, Peter, and Bobby Brady. Patrick was old enough to know that the Lawrence Welk show his grandparents watched wasn't cool, and that the Beatles were. Sexuality was still theoretical, but he liked the idea of riding on Eric Estrada's motorcycle and experienced strange tingles whenever the Hardy Boys were tied up, which happened in nearly every book of their ongoing crime-solving saga. As time went on and Christmases passed, Patrick began to believe that his father, who never wore a robe, viewed the robe request as a sign that his interests, fashion and otherwise, weren't traditionally masculine. Only later would these suspicions be confirmed. But let's face it, a robe is a gender-neutral garment that was, with just a few alterations, could be a Dion von Furstenberg wrap dress. Patrick didn't want to be a girl. He just liked how robes looked. Okay, perhaps he did want to twirl, but just a little. But boys in Catholic school in 7th grade in November of 1978 did not twirl. Patrick was referred to as sensitive and special by his parents and the school's Irish principal, Sister Elizabeth, who always called Patrick out of class for the lucrative altar boy funeral duties. Sister Elizabeth was astounded at Patrick's knowledge of movie and Kennedy trivia. He couldn't tell you who won the Rams game, but could tell you what year Greer Garson won the Academy Award and what color Jacqueline Kennedy wore when she met Charles de Gaulle. This pleased the principal to no end, and she and Patrick would often spend recesses on the periphery of the asphalt playground, quizzing each other's knowledge of film. Patrick's favorite film was Vertigo, starring the sexy Hitchcock ice queen, Kim Novak. It also starred San Francisco, a city that Patrick already sensed, after a family vacation when he was 9, he would live in someday. My all-time favorite actress is Ingrid Bergman. Her performance in For Whom the Bell Tolls should have won her the Oscar, in my humble opinion. Such strength, such grace, she said as the 3 dangling knots blew from her brown Franciscan habit. One for poverty, one for chastity, one for obedience. Sister Elizabeth could never understand why all the 7th and 8th grade boys would fall to the asphalt in uncontrollable laughter when she announced the end of recess on her chipped tan megaphone. Boys, hold your balls! Hold your balls! Boys, hold your balls! Only Miss Benz, the surly playground monitor, could get the boys to stop laughing by threatening trash collection duty after school. Get to class now, boys. The principal was tough but fair. She didn't expel Jim Balsamo when he pulled a Swiss Army knife on Patrick and he apologized, but did expel Jim when he brought a condom into the classroom. The whole 7th grade knew of the scandal. Jim has a rubber in his backpack. Within an hour that morning, Sister Elizabeth entered the classroom. She went to Jim's desk and asked him loudly, "Where is it?" Balsamo fumbled with his backpack, pulled out the unwrapped prophylactic and rolled it down on his thumb with his index finger. Sister Elizabeth slapped James hard across the face and asked loudly, "Did you feel that?" James said nothing. "No, and you never will with your wife if you wear this. Grab your things and follow me to the office." Jim Balsamo was never seen again. On November 27th, the principal called an unexpected mass. The entire school gathered in church to hear that this was a special mass for fellow Catholic Mayor George Moscone. Father Tim also mentioned Harvey Milk's murder in his homily. "Thou shalt not kill" is unequivocal. To hate anyone for any reason is against the teaching of Christ and St. Francis. 20 years later, at the San Francisco Gay Pride Parade, looking above the ACT UP protesters who'd stopped the procession to have a die-in and outline their bodies in pink and red chalk, Patrick thought he saw Sister Elizabeth across Market Street, dressed in Dinah Shore weekend chic, her head resting on a woman's shoulder, 20 years older and sporting short gunmetal gray hair, the only nun at OLPH whose veil never blew off. In an instant, he knew it was Miss Benz caressing his former principal's Madras shorts. Patrick locked eyes with Elizabeth. He'd heard she'd left the order and the grammar school, and gazed into the familiar, knowing, satisfied smile, looking and nodding her head in silent approval at him. Patrick fingered the numerous free condoms in his pocket that had been thrown during the parade. In the instant it took Patrick to point out the women to his Tom Selleck look-alike date, the women vaporized into the crowd, like the outlines of the bodies on Market Street, which now looked like a colorful crime scene. The void was more powerful than the solid. The ACT UP die-in was followed by the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence and their opulent nuns' habits and face makeup. They carried burning sage sticks and twirled while blessing the outlines of the dead. As the parade moved on, during the Mikes on Bikes contingent, Patrick remembered back to finally getting his first robe in the 8th grade, the same year he twirled for the first time. Oddly enough, it was in the sacristy of OLPH before a funeral mass. Dressed in his black and white cassock and surplice, which, let's face it, with a few alterations could be an Yves Saint Laurent gown. When no one was looking, Patrick began his twirl with the full Maria von Trapp wind-up. And while he didn't sing the sound of music, he twirled with abandon and the excitement of an 8th grader, looking ahead to a life of unself-conscious twirls and motorcycle rides. Thank you.